Good morning and happy Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first episode of Fast Break with Tundra Ballmer. I am your host, Mario Duenas, and let's get started. For the first episode of Fast Break with Tundra Ballmer, we're going to be talking about a little bit about myself, of who I am, what to expect, and then we're going to be talking about some straight-up basketball. So, first thing, who is Tundra Ballmer, you may be asking? Well, my real name is Mario Duenas. I am a sophomore at Cal State Fullerton. I am a very passionate basketball fan, especially for the LA Clippers. Growing up, I played basketball in high school, 2024 graduate from Bishop Amat High School. And I play a lot of basketball still. And I played all 4 years of high school at Bishop Amat. And then after graduation, I went to Clipper games. I had a lot more time on my hands, and my dad and I went to the Intuit Dome, and we had a blast going there, and we were having Clipper games, and it was fun, and we were in the wall, and it was just an amazing experience. We went to 37 games throughout the whole season, so one preseason game, 34 regular season games, and 3 playoff games, if that equals to 37. 34 or something like that during the regular season, or 33. So, about the wall. It is very fun. So, we were in this section called the swell in the wall, which is pretty much the heart of a wall. If you don't know what the wall is, it's pretty much a section in the brand new stadium at Intuit Dome in Inglewood, California. It is next to SoFi Stadium and the Kia Forum. And it is a section of only Clipper fans. And there's a lot of ground rules when it comes to a wall. You can only wear Clipper stuff. So if you wear other things that are not Clipper stuff, so let's say you wear Lakers stuff, you're going to get kicked out of that section, and you're going to be escorted to somewhere else. And you have to cheer on for the Clippers. In that section, you had to be the loudest of the loudest people. Like, sometimes my voice would be dead after games, and I would just talk trash to the other players. We would be right by the bench of the opponents. So there were some times that I had some interactions with NBA players. I'll tell you guys this one funny story. So my dad and I, we were distracting LeBron during pregame warmups, and we were making noise with this cup called a loud cup, which is pretty much you could drink anything on it, and you can make noise with it like a horn. That's pretty much what it is, like a horn and something to drink with at the same time. And we were just spamming the loud cup, and my dad and I got this reaction from LeBron, and he gave us a weird look. It was like a disgusting look and a weird smile, and he was just shaking his head no, and it was the funniest thing ever. Another story too I got. So, there is this NBA player for the New Orleans Pelicans. His name is Jose Alvarado, also known as Grand Theft Alvarado. So, his teammate Zion Williamson was not playing in the game, and he was staying on the bench with his team in the first half. But in the second half, we was not there, and when Jose Alvarado was sitting on the bench in the second half, I asked him, "Hey, Jose, where's Zion? Does he have a buffet?" Because Zion gets a lot of fat jokes from the media. So, like, I don't really do this, but I just tried to, because the Clippers are winning by a lot, of course. And I just wanted to talk some trash and to get a funny reaction from an NBA player. And he just laughed, and he said, "Nah, he MIA right now." And yeah, that was just funny to me too. And yeah, so that's pretty much everything about the wall. Like, you just distract all of the NBA players when they are shooting, especially when they shoot free throws. We have amazing distractions, like when Nikola Jokic was shooting free throws, we were saying, I think the word is pro-mache in his language, which means miss. And correct me if I'm wrong, but that was the words we were saying when he was shooting free throws. So in my free time, I like to play basketball, go to the gym, hang out with friends, and, of course, go to Clipper games. And a fun fact about me is that I have a tattoo on my right shoulder of the LA Clippers logo, the newest one. So I'm that dedicated, alright, guys? I think you guys get it. So, why am I a Clippers fan? I became a Clipper fan in 2011 when I was 5 years old. It was the Lob City era, if you remember. Chris Paul, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan. I saw those guys on TV when my dad was watching the Clippers, and I just fell in love with those guys. Like, you know how fun Lob City was, right? Chris Paul throwing lobs to Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan. It was just a dunk show and lobs. Just amazing basketball. If they weren't injured, they could have went far in the playoffs at least. Like, I know. The Clippers, they don't have a ring. But they're going to get one. June 2026. Just watch, guys. Just watch. And it was just a amazing thing. And Chris Paul coming back to the Clippers. Oh, man. I am very, very excited, guys. Very excited. So, we're going to move on to some things to expect from Fast Break from Tundra Baller. So, we're going to talk about some big reactions to big basketball news, game recaps, game breakdowns, especially for the Clippers. And some games aren't going on right now. Well, it's off season right now, so obviously I can't react to Clipper games and break them down. And hopefully I could bring in some special guests. I already have some in mind, so hopefully that they could pull up one day. So we're going to talk about the first segment of Fast Break of Tundra Baller. And it is the biggest news that is going on in the basketball world right now. Kawhi Leonard and Ballmer being accused of circumventing the salary cap. So let's talk about the beginning. A few weeks ago, Pablo Torre, a sports journalist, reported on this podcast, Pablo Torre Finds Out, reported that Kawhi Leonard, who plays for the LA Clippers, had a $28 million endorsement deal with a company called Aspiration. Ballmer, the owner of the Clippers, invested $50 million to Aspiration to quote-unquote circumvent the salary cap, which breaks the NBA rules. So, Aspiration, I never heard this company before, and so they partnered with the Clippers in 2021 to 2023. So it was a 2-year endorsement deal with the team, and I'll be honest, during this time, I never heard of Aspiration, and I didn't hear about them until this thing came out. So Aspiration is a company with a goal to give quote-unquote socially conscious and sustainable banking services and investment products. The Clippers partnered with the team from 2021 to 2023. The Clippers cut ties with them after they filed for bankruptcy. Joseph Sandberg, the co-founder of Aspiration, recently pleaded guilty to $248 million in fraud. So it sounds like here, guys, that Aspiration is a fraudulent company. And also, I never heard of Pablo Torre, and at the time I'm recording this, he already recorded 4 episodes and posted them on YouTube about the whole situation. And what I'm talking about here, guys, is pretty much a summary of what he said in the 4 episodes. And I'm going to just give my reactions and thoughts to this situation. until I tell you guys all of this information. So Torrey reported that Kawhi's deal with Aspiration was a no-show job. So it sounded like that he pretty much signed a $28 million deal to do nothing pretty much and be a representative of a company without really doing anything. So a former employee told Torrey, quote unquote, he actually didn't have time. He didn't actually have to do anything. Nothing. It's amazing. I'm honestly so jealous. He's got the dream. It's within my beliefs that to be paid $28 million and do absolutely nothing as well. Also, one of the documents was that he had power to control and approve all content and distribution for the company. No other partner had that power. So I don't know if it's true, guys, but so in the first episode, Torrey had like a big pile of documents, like hundreds, thousands of pages of documents, and he worked on this for 7 months before this thing came out. And it has been about a few weeks now since the allegations came out. So the Clippers, they released a statement saying neither Mr. Ballmer nor the Clippers circumvented the salary cap or engaged in any misconduct related to Aspiration. Any contrary assertion is provably false. So I think that the Clippers are in the right here, that they didn't do anything to circumvent the salary cap, because pretty much the rule is that, so Kawhi has a contract with the Clippers, right? He has a 4-year deal or 3 years, and it's for a lot of money. And pretty much Ballmer put money into Aspiration too. And he can't give Kawhi more money than what he's being paid for in his contract with the Clippers, which obviously breaks rules. But I don't think that happened, guys. I don't think Paulo Torre is a reliable person to trust. But we'll get into more of this. So a few days after the allegations came out, Ballmer spoke in an interview with ESPN after the allegations went public. The first thing he said in the interview was pretty much they didn't break any salary cap rules and didn't pay Kawhi anything outside of his contract with the Clippers. And I believe that Ballmer is right about because he is one of the richest people in the world. He is worth about $130 billion. And he was the co-founder of Microsoft. And he used to be the CEO also. And pretty much like he was with Bill Gates, also one of the richest people in the world. And I don't think that he's in the wrong here. But let's get more into this. So Ballmer, the $50 million that he put in, he owns 3% of the company. And there were investors who put way more money than he did. And he said that Aspiration is a fraudulent company. He admitted that it was a bad investment, that $50 million, and it was embarrassing. If the Clippers are found guilty of these allegations, they can face punishments such as fines, losing draft picks, Kawhi's contract could be voided or something like that, and suspensions also, like Ballmer could be suspended for a year. But hey, I don't think that this is going to happen. As a Clipper fan myself, like, I'm not even being biased. My response to this situation is that the team and Kawhi will be okay. It will be a fine at worst. The league has been investigating this for a while now, and they haven't found any evidence of Kawhi circumventing the salary cap. If they are punished, it will be a fine at worst. It's something like $7.5 million, but what could Ballmer do with $7.5 million out of his $130 million? Like, be honest. Like, is he gonna? He could be like, "Hey, Adam Silver, who's the commissioner of NBA, here's $10 million. Like, that's like pocket change for me. All right, now situation could be over. Like, if I was rich and I was and I was Ballmer, I would just do that. Here's $10 million. All right, situation over, whether I did it or not. And of course, my phone blows up every time that there's something negative about the Clippers, because a lot of my friends, they're Laker fans, and they would just be straight up hating. And I'll be honest, like the Lakers, okay, they made it to the playoffs, but they should have beat the Timberwolves, right? They had LeBron, Luka, and who else is on the Timberwolves? Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle. Like, historically, Luka and LeBron, they're better, right? They should have beat them, but they lost in 5 games. So, Laker fans, you shouldn't be talking. And they were just talking nonsense. That's what happens every time. Like, every time the Clippers lose a big game, or like every loss, and especially this situation, especially the first day, I got about like texts from like 5 different people within a short amount of time, and they were just talking nonsense. If you're listening to this, guys, you know who you are. And I mean, I'm not calling you guys out or anything, respectfully, but yeah. Okay, so moving on. And Pablo Torre, I don't think that he is a reliable person to trust. Like, if you look at his YouTube channel and look at his most viewed videos, 4 of his top 5 most viewed videos, which is all of them, by the way, his 4 videos about the Kawhi situation, they are the top 5 most viewed videos on his YouTube channel. Like, you can check that out right now. So I think he's just being a cloud chaser. And I mean, if it is true, just find Ballmer. That's it. Like, we don't have any draft picks, or barely, because we regrettably traded for Paul George for 5 draft picks and sent the future MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but no one predicted that, right? All right, so Mark Cuban, part owner of the Dallas Mavericks, he has been defending the Clippers nonstop. If you scroll through his Twitter, he is just talking about the Clippers and pretty much supporting him. So one of the first tweets, I'm going to read it out to you guys. This is in Mark Cuban's words. I'm on Team Ballmer. As much as I wish they circumvented the salary cap, first, Steve isn't that dumb. If he tried to feed KL money, KL referring to Kawhi Leonard, knowing what was at stake for him personally and his team, do you think he would let the company go bankrupt? They got scammed by Aspiration, along with many others. Crimes which they pleaded guilty last week, which is now about a few weeks ago. Scammers do scammy things. They did a $300 million sponsorship deal with the Clippers in 2021. That's a huge deal. The better the team does, the more value the sponsorship has. It actually makes perfect sense that if they stole money from investors and wanted the Clippers to succeed, why not give stolen money to help keep their best player? It's sad that Pablo Torre didn't take the time to find out how these scammers pulled off their scam. The idea is that the default, if Ballmer is the bad guy, is going to backfire on him. So pretty much what he was saying here, that they are scammers. And let's talk about the $300 million a little bit. So when they signed with Aspiration in 2021, they signed a $300 million deal to pretty much for the new stadium at Intuit Dome, for some carbon stuff. I forgot what the word is, but it was for naming rights too. But now it's called Intuit Dome, and Intuit is a complete different company. So I'm gonna read you guys another statement that the Clippers said about the $300 million and the carbon products. So it was called Carbon Credits. And Ballmer had another interview a few days ago before recording this, and he pretty much said the same thing. He was scammed out of all of these things. In his words, Ballmer said, "I was personally defrauded. The important thing is our relationship with a company, and our players' relationship with a company were independent." And I'm going to read to you guys the Clippers' second statement about the situation about the carbon credits. "Steve and his family are focused on sustainability, which is why Intuit Dome was assigned to be a carbon-neutral building for its inception and to achieve LEED zero status over time. Our development agreements for the arena included mandates to buy carbon credits, but after studying the issue of neutrality, we went far beyond these requirements, exploring ways to emissions from our fans and contracting with aspiration to directly purchase carbon offsets, as well as broker the acquisition of additional offsets. Some of these commitments were built into the sponsorship deal with Aspiration, totally separate of an investment in the company. And we made payments to Aspiration until the company was unable to fulfill their responsibilities. Their effort reflects Steve wanting to set a positive example and raise awareness of the growing and important role of voluntary carbon markets. Unfortunately, he was duped on the investment and on some parts of this agreement, as were many other investors and employees." So Aspiration, they partnered with other people too, such as Robert Downey Jr. and Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, if you search up Robert Downey Jr., I think he made an ad with Aspiration, and there you go. And I think that they had more money in their endorsement deals than what Kawhi had. So one more thing before we go into the next segment. I'm going to be reading another tweet that Mark Cuban said about Pablo Torre. He said, "Pablo, come on. You only push your side in the promos. Nothing you said made your point. You took lots of information provided by scammers who negotiated with someone not connected with Ballmer and took them at face value. Just to be clear, still Team Ballmer." So I am glad that Mark Cuban is helping us out here. And if he didn't, then maybe this situation wouldn't be as relieving to know that Kawhi and Ballmer are innocent. And I think that Pablo Torre just wants to be a cloud chaser because his most viewed topic is the Kawhi situation, and I don't think that he is a credible journalist, just in my opinion. And I never heard of him before the situation came out. So let's go into the next segment. Enough about the Clippers. Well, a little more about the Clippers later on. But there are some free agents that are still available in the NBA. And you already know some big moves happened during the offseason, like Kevin Durant getting traded to the Houston Rockets, and the Rockets sent Jalen Green and Dillon Brooks to the Phoenix Suns in exchange for Kevin Durant, and there are still some free agents that are still available. So I'm going to be talking about 3 of the top 3 agents are still available and could get picked up. It could be anytime soon that these guys could re-sign with their current team, or maybe they could come on a new contract with their current team. So we're going to be talking about Malik Beasley, first person. So he played for the Detroit Pistons last year, and he was the runner-up for Sixth Man of the Year last season. While averaging 16 points a game, he helped the Detroit Pistons to their first playoff appearance since 2019, and they finished last place in the standings in 2024. And they only won 14 games. They went 14-68. That is a lot of losses, man. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what happened last year, but it looked like Cade Cunningham didn't have any help. But I remember they were on a 28 game losing streak or something like that, a new record, or they tied the record. And I remember they almost beat the Celtics, one of the top teams in the East, and they lost in overtime. But yeah, it wasn't a good time for the Pistons in 2024. But I got a lot of respect for the Pistons, and Malik Beasley, he showed out last season, and he is still a free agent. And this is the reason why he's still a free agent. So let's get into this. So earlier this offseason, he was being investigated for gambling on NBA games from the 2024 season while he was playing for the Milwaukee Bucks. So he wasn't part of that 2024 Pistons team that just won 14 games. But last month, he was no longer a target, but is now a subject during the situation. So his lawyers and his representatives, they proved that he was innocent. But he's still not cut off from that situation yet. Not like fully innocent, but like a little bit of innocence. But the investigation is still going on, and he is also facing financial issues. I don't know how he spent all of his money, but he is being sued by his former agency called the Hazen Sports Management Group for not honoring their contract. They claim that Beasley failed to pay $650,000 in a marketing advance. The agency wants $2 million in damages, and another problem that he's having is that he got evicted of his apartment. He owes $21,500 of rent, and apparently his landlord sued him twice. So he's facing 3 lawsuits, and the NBA is investigating him on gambling. So maybe he went to gambling to get his money back, because maybe he spent on a lot of money and wasn't managing his money right. But let's get more into this. So this is pretty much the reason why that he's still a free agent. Because if you're caught gambling on NBA games as a player, you can get a lifetime ban from the NBA. Like, it is not good. About a year or two ago, Jonte Porter, he played for the Raptors, and he was caught gambling on NBA games, and he was communicating with bettors during the game. Like, there were these texts that he was sending them, and he was faking injuries. And like, there was a story one time at halftime, he was texting this person that was gambling on him or spending money on him, and it's like on a sports book, and you could bet the over-under of pretty much any stat instead of betting on like the over-unders on teams. But he pretty much told him that I might not go in, like my shoulder is bothering me or whatever was bothering him, and telling him like, hey, like, bet my under. But yeah, back to Malik Beasley. If all these allegations never happened, I felt like the Clippers could have been a landing spot for him. The Clippers, they had a lot of money to work with, I think. And we traded Norman Powell to the Miami Heat for John Collins. And Norman Powell is getting a good amount of money that when we re-signed him. And John Collins is also getting a lot of money. So it was a 3-team deal in the trade. So it was with the Clippers, the Heat, and the Utah Jazz. And John Collins, he is a really good player, and he is going to be joining the Clippers for his upcoming season, along with Bradley Beal and Brook Lopez. and Chris Paul. I am excited that Chris Paul is back, guys. And I hope you guys are excited too. And no, he's not washed. Although it will be his last season, most likely. He's going to be an amazing player for the Clippers. Whether he plays a lot or a little bit or not. But I'm excited he is back because he is one of the first people that made me fall in love with basketball besides Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin was my first ever favorite basketball player, and I think he's one of the greatest Clippers of all time. But Blake, I was heartbroken when you got traded the day before my birthday, and I was gonna go to a game the day of my birthday to watch you play. I was so disappointed, but I forgive you, Blake Griffin. But I was like 11 or 12 years old. So it's okay, Blake. I forgive you. So we're going to move on to Jonathan Kuminga. He is also one of the top free agents. So he played for the Warriors last season, and he played 47 games for them last season. He averaged 15 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists while playing 24 minutes a night. And while he was injured, and the Clippers were playing them in the last regular season game, I think that I was wondering where Kuminga was, but so this is why he was hurt. So in January, he was out for 31 games due to a ankle injury that he got in January, and then in March when he came back, he got a right pelvic contusion after a hard fall. And the Warriors, they really want him back because they declined 2 sign and trade offers and with these teams, the Phoenix Suns and the Sacramento Kings. So the Phoenix Suns offer, they were willing to send Royce O'Neal and a second round compensation to get Kuminga. And the contract, it would have been 4 years for $80 to $88 million. The other offer would have sent him to the Sacramento Kings for Malik Monk and a first-round pick. That sounds like a better deal for the Warriors, the Sacramento Kings offer. And the contract, it would have been 3 years for $63 to $66 million. On the Warriors' end, they offered a 2-year deal for $45 million, but he declined it. I'll be honest, I don't know why you would decline it. That's a lot of money. $22.5 million. But okay, I guess. But after the Warriors and Kuminga kept struggling to find a deal, the Warriors owner, Joe Lacob, if I'm pronouncing that right, asked Kuminga, "Do you want to be here?" Kuminga then returned the question to him, saying, "Do you even want me here?" So that is kind of a bold thing to do. I think he wants more money, but it's kind of like a thing. Like it would be like NFL players holding themselves out of training camp to pretty much just show that, like, give me my money. It's kind of like that. Kind of like Micah Parsons before he got traded to the Packers. But I think that Kuminga could be a huge factor for this team here, the Warriors. I've seen him play, and he is a great player. I wish the Clippers had a guy like him. But it's okay. We don't need a guy like him. We have guys better than him. If we didn't have our current guys right now, definitely would want them. But it's okay. We don't need them. And I was wondering too. So in the last regular season game, when the Clippers and the Warriors were playing against each other, they were going at it. The Clippers and Warriors. It was pretty much the winner goes to the playoffs, and the loser, they go to the play-in. And that was one of the most stressful games to watch ever as a Clipper fan. I was so stressed watching that game. Like, I had a lot of, like, yes. And I had a lot of, oh my God, what is happening, guys? But the Clippers came out of a win in overtime. Absolute cinema. But hopefully they come to terms soon, the Warriors and Kuminga, because Steph Curry, he's getting older, and he's going to his last few years of his career. And the Warriors definitely wanted to keep building around him and for the future also when Steph retires. And they still want to compete for a championship, for sure, right? So the last free agent we're going to talk about is Russell Westbrook. So last season, Westbrook looked like he had a better season with the Nuggets. So before that, he was a Clipper and Laker. And we'll talk about that a little later. So he averaged 13 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists with the Nuggets last season. And he still had all-around numbers, just like he had in his prime. But, not like the numbers that he had in his prime, or the triple-doubles he would always have. But he was also a Clipper for a year and a half before joining the Nuggets. And when the Clippers got Russ, I was really excited because we needed a guy like him. He's a guy with a lot of energy, really athletic. But there were some good and there were some bad. Whenever he played good, great. Can't complain about that. But the bad part was that sometimes he would just play out of control. Like, when he would drive to the basket, when he goes a million miles per hour, it's just he wouldn't be in control. He would miss shots badly. And those shots he would shoot from a short corner, he would try to bank it. And he did not. He would miss those really, really badly. Like a oh my goodness Valentine type of shot. Or he would miss on top of the backboard. It was hard to watch him sometimes, honestly. He wasn't the scorer that he was back in his prime when he was with the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Houston Rockets, or the Washington Wizards. But I still remember some good moments with him. But it was a good time, Westbrook, and I hope you have a great career to ending it. And teams would dare him to shoot, and he would miss a lot of those shots. Like, I would be surprised that he would make it. I would be like, Westbrook, don't shoot. But, yeah, it was very frustrating to watch him sometimes. But going back into free agency, I'm surprised that a team hasn't signed him yet, especially the Nuggets. But since he's going to his last years of his career, he could still be a good player, whether it's coming off the bench or be a starting point guard. And after some research, I was researching some landing spots for him, and one spot for me stood out to me the most. The Nets could be a good landing spot for him, and here's why. So they're a young team. Westbrook is a lot older than a lot of those guys, and he could be a good starting point guard for them. They've been struggling for a while after they cut ties with Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, and James Harden. And that big three did not work out at all. I was surprised. Like, they only made it to the conference finals or the second round, I think. But still, that was good. But I thought they would maybe go for a championship or something, like in the finals. But pretty much the only two top players that they have right now, the Brooklyn Nets, is Cam Thomas and Michael Porter Jr., who they just traded from the Denver Nuggets. And I was surprised that he got traded there. I don't know why they would trade him, but he would always be a killer for the Clippers, or on the Clippers. Like, I hated playing against Michael Porter Jr. But now it'll be easier to beat the Nuggets. Just watch. And Cam Thomas, he's a good player too. He averaged 24 points a game last season for the Nets. And I feel like Russ could be a good fit for the Nets. So whether it's starting for them, well, he could be a starter for them. but I think that could be the best landing spot for them. All right, so for the last segment of episode 1 of Fast Break with Tundra Baller is going to be talking about the WNBA and their future stars. So the WNBA, for me, I've been watching the WNBA a little bit this year. I went to 2 LA Sparks games, and it was fun. Kelsey Plum is one of my favorite players in the WNBA, and yeah, she's just a true point guard, really good scorer, really good ball handler, and just feeds her teammates really well, dimes them up, and great passer. And it's kind of like my game, when I play basketball. I really like to shoot, and I really like feeding my teammates, and she's just a fun player to watch. So we're going to be talking about two of their future stars, Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers. So Caitlin Clark, to start off, a few years ago, she became one of the most hyped up basketball players in the world in women's basketball. I never seen anybody hyped up a person like this for women's sports ever. Well, at least in women's basketball. Besides Paige Bueckers, but Caitlin Clark, she would just be shooting from deep, well beyond the line, and it was just, I would see highlights, everybody posting about it, like Bleacher Report, just amazing, and she broke a ton of records for the University of Iowa. That's where she went for college. I'm going to be telling you some of the records that she broke. The all-time leading scorer in NCAA Division I history for both men's and women's basketball with 3,951 points. The most career three-pointers made with 548 makes. The most career assists with 1,144. The most career rebounds with 990. The first player in Division I history to record 3,800 points, 1,000 assists, and 950 rebounds in a career. And the 4 years at Iowa, she averaged 28 points, 7 rebounds, and 8 assists. So a lot of all-around numbers. And she received all of these awards twice for the years of 2023 and 2024. So a two-time recipient of all of these awards. The Naismith College Player of the Year, the John R. Wooden Award, the Associated Press Player of the Year, the Wade Trophy, the USBWA Ann Myers Drysdale Player of the Year, Honda Sports Award for women's basketball. And when she declared for the 2024 WNBA draft, she became the obvious number 1 pick and was drafted by the Indiana Fever. The WNBA gained a bigger audience because of her. Everybody was watching her when she was playing for University of Iowa, so everybody would definitely want to see what her next steps were. So everybody was watching her in the WNBA, and this was called the Caitlin Clark effect. And I think that the exposure that she had, I think the WNBA definitely deserve more attention. Like, they don't get paid as much by a lot with NBA players because viewership is not there as much as the NBA. Like, they get millions of fans, but the WNBA, they get a lot less fans. But I think this is a good step for the next steps for the WNBA. So before the league never had that much success in viewership, like I said, and every Indiana Fever game would now be played in sold out arenas. So I would see that ticket prices, they would go up. And when Caitlin Clark was injured this season, whenever she wasn't playing, the tickets became a lot cheaper. So, and there were also a lot of primetime games and nationally televised games. And it was just great for the exposure of the WNBA. So during the rookie season, there were times when her opponents looked like they were jealous that Caitlin was getting all of the attention. And it did show. Like, there was this rivalry that Caitlin Clark had in college and LSU with a player named Angel Reese. She was the second pick in the 2024 WNBA draft after Caitlin Clark. And they had a rivalry in their March Madness games, and then it advanced over to the WNBA also. And Angel Reese, she plays for the Chicago Sky, and it looked like that her teammates for the Sky, they were jealous of Caitlin Clark because they get all the attention, and it looked like that Caitlin Clark, she has been in the WNBA for a short amount of time, and other players, they were in the league for years. And I think they would just show, like, they would have a little chip on their shoulder, and they would try to get in her head and foul her a lot, and a lot of hard fouls. So despite all that, she averaged 19 points, 5 rebounds, and 8 assists, and was named the 2024 WNBA Rookie of the Year. She broke many records, and here are all the records that she broke. The fastest player to make 100 3-pointers, and it took her 34 games. The most points in a season by a rookie was 769. The fastest player to reach 400 points and 200 assists, and it took 26 games. The only rookie with multiple 20-plus points and 10-plus assist games. The first rookie to be named Player of the Month and Rookie of the Month at the same time. And the single season assist record with 337. The most assists in a game with 19. And the first rookie to record a triple-double in a game. And in her second season, she was still getting all of the hype and attention, but her season was cut short due to a groin injury. The playoffs are going on right now, and she has been out for the rest of the season, and she will be playing next season, and we'll see how it goes from there. They're still in the playoffs, though. Her team, the Indiana Fever, and they just made it to the second round, and I believe that they're going to be playing against the Las Vegas Aces. So in her rookie season, she played all 40 games in the regular season, and I believe that they missed the playoffs, though. So it was just in the regular season. But in the WNBA this season, the regular season games increased from 40 to 44 games. And she only played 13 of those games. And she was still putting up high numbers. In her first game of the season, she put up a triple-double against her rival Angel Reese in the Chicago Sky. Moving on to the next person, Paige Bueckers. She is also an amazing player to watch, and she is also the number 1 pick from the last draft, the 2025 WNBA draft. And she led her college, which is the UConn Huskies, to the Final Four in all of the seasons that she played, and won the national championship in 2025. So her and Caitlin Clark, they're the same class, but Paige did 5 years of college because in one of her years she got injured, so she redshirted. So her last year, which was her 5th year, it was technically her 4th year of eligibility, and she was out with a torn ACL that year when she was out. And she averaged close to 20 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists while shooting 53% from the field. And she won all of these awards. 3-time unanimous first-team All-American selection. 3-time Big East Player of the Year. 2021 Naismith College Player of the Year Award. The 2025 Wade Trophy. And the 2025 Honda Sports Award for women's basketball. She became the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 WNBA draft by the Dallas Wings. Despite the team struggling all year and finishing their season in last place with a 10-34 record, she has been a highlight reel though. I watched some of her games, and she was unstoppable. And one of her biggest games was that she scored 44 points against the LA Sparks, and they still lost. And it looked like that her team, that Paige is the only good player though for the Wings. Like, I only watched about 2 games, but it looked like that Paige had no help. Like, she would feed her team to open baskets, and they wouldn't finish her highlight. So, despite all that, she was a highlight reel, and she finished the year averaging 19 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists, and she received the 2025 Rookie of the Year award. She was also a starter for the All-Star game and was named Rookie of the Month for 3 months in a row. And in her rookie season, she broke a few records. The WNBA single game scoring record with 44 points, which is against the Sparks, and they unfortunately lost due to a Kelsey Plum buzzer beater. Also with that performance, she became the first player in WNBA history to score 40 or more points while shooting at least 80% from the field. She shot 17 for 21 from the field, which was 81%. Very efficient scorer. And she also became the only player this season to be in the top 10 in points, assists, and steals per game. And she also became the first rookie to average 15 points or more and 5+ assists while shooting 45% or better from the field. And finally, she was the fastest rookie to reach 500 points and 100 assists in 27 games. Alright guys, that is it for episode 1 of Fast Break with Tundra Baller. If you guys enjoyed this episode, please tune in to next week. I will be on every Wednesday from 8 to 9 a.m. And if you guys have any suggestions on what I should talk about next, please hit me up on my Instagram at Tundra_baller_0. And I will probably get back to you guys if you guys message me. And I will follow you guys back too if you guys would like a follow. And that is it. And we are going to close with one more song. And see you guys next Wednesday.